Years before Obi-Wan Kenobi was forced to use the Jedi power of mind trick on a pair of sand troopers outside of Mos Eisley, the Master was just another youngling in the JEdi Temple on Coruscant. There, he studied the ways of the Force from his teachers, including Grandmaster Yoda, but once, when he broke the Jedi code and ran off to save his friend, Obi-Wan Kenobi was forced to fight for his life. Around 8 years old at the time, the prospect of fighting against 3 of the worst Hutt thugs from the lower levels was terrifying. But not only did Kenobi survive, he managed to use a Force technique for the very first time, one that he had only read about in the Jedi library. How did he use this mind trick? And did it help him actually win the fight? We'll answer these questions and more in today's underrated moment. But before we get going, I wanted to remind you that we're holding a 10,000 subscriber lightsaber giveaway, so please like, subscribe, and comment on this video to enter. That's it, that's all you have to do. Alright, now on to today's story. Young Obi-Wan Kenobi was in uncharted waters. He was only around 8 years old at the time, hardly the age when he should have been wandering around the JEdi Temple all on his own. But now, he was doing something much worse than that. His friend and fellow classmate had fled the JEdi Temple. For weeks she had been plagued with a dark vision of her father, and couldn't bear the thought of any harm coming to him. So, she leapt from the roof of the temple and used the Force to guide her into the sub-levels of Coruscant below, where she hoped to barter her priceless family heirloom for a ticket off-world to her family's house. But Kenobi wouldn't let her go by herself. He leapt too and tried to find her. But as the layers of Coruscant flew past him, a familiar feeling started to swell in his stomach. Fear. Kenobi knew that this world wasn't safe. As the capital of the Galactic Republic, Coruscant attracted all types of sentience from every sector, and it seemed the lower you went, the more vile the off-worlders became. When Obi-Wan finally leapt to the lowest level, he narrowed in on a Force impression that his friend had left in her wake. And as he paced around the small, black alley, it wasn't long until an unfriendly face met his gaze. An orange-skinned Rodian with a jagged, iron sword got the jump on Kenobi. This was one of the local Hutt thugs, and with a long, slender scar etched into his right eye, it was obvious that this Hutt soldier was the type that survived fights, not the type that died in them. Soon, the Rodian's friends joined him as well. 3 more Hutt thugs filtered in from behind, a massive Trandoshan, a sickly-looking Aqualish, and a masked assassin. Even though Obi-Wan was just a boy, he was smart enough to know that taking these gangsters on, head-on, would be a challenge. So he quickly racked his mind for any Force technique that might get him out of this pickle, and settled on one that would serve him well for the next 50 years. With a wave of his hand, Obi-Wan targeted the Rodian and said, "I am of no use to you, no value." And the Rodian, magically, was convinced those words were true. Kenobi had never actually had a chance to use the skill. In fact, it wasn't even something that Grandmaster Yoda had taught him yet, or planned to. Kenobi had read about it in a book, and using his own natural gift in the Force, managed to harness the power to fool the Rodian. Now, if we take a second to admire this feat from young Obi-Wan Kenobi, you can see just how powerful he was even at a young age. Unfortunately, as a master, he's often ignored when we discuss some of the most powerful Force users of the Clone Wars era, with the Chosen One, Anakin Skywalker, serving as his apprentice, and other great masters like Mace Windu, Yoda, and Ki-Adi-Mundi sitting on the High Council. Kenobi is often second or third fiddle. But it's important to remember that Kenobi was among the greatest duelists and masters of his time, and we can see that with this early display of natural aptitude when he used the Force to mind trick someone without any formal instruction. But you might be wondering, did Kenobi win that fight? I suppose, though, that's a different moment for a different day, and I'll be sure to cover that later. Thanks for coming and checking out this tale, and I hope to see you again soon here on Underrated Moments.